that Claudette Colvin's lawsuit was the one that went to the Supreme Court that changed the law. Claudette Colvin's actions accelerated the timeline that led directly to Rosa Parks doing the same thing 9 months later. And by then, there had already been planning that once Rosa Parks did her thing, they just kicked in the Montgomery bus boycott. That's not how we learn it. And youth and everyone should be more aware of the behind the scenes activities that were put in place to change that status quo. Those are the sorts of things that as youth you're doing right now. Because the Montgomery bus boycott took more than 6 months to plan. And if it had not been inspired by Claudette Colvin's lawsuit that was going on, that would have pushed back the timeline. So let me fast forward a little bit. Now, let me just say one thing. Everyone knows Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King's very first thing he ever did outside of his little parish in Montgomery, Alabama, the first publicly facing thing was to organize and raise funds for the defense of Claudette Colvin. So when she was 17, she had a kid. She was looked over as being a symbol of the civil rights movement. She was short. She was very dark-skinned compared to, say, Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was middle-aged, well-dressed, respectable, working woman, lighter-skinned, articulate, relatable, the better symbol. So she was chosen as a symbol. So Claudette Colvin moved to the Bronx, New York. The Bronx has the most African immigrants of anywhere in the United States. And she worked under the radar at night because she was worried about being killed, flat out, right? They found her and they wanted to honor her. They wanted Peace Lights to play at this thing honoring her, and they asked me to speak. So I looked up in that book on the picture I just showed, and what jumped out at me was the statement that said she's credited with accelerating the change in the plight of colored people. Now, accelerating a change, I'm an engineer. I graduated with an engineering degree. Accelerating a change in mathematical terms is a second derivative. So, interesting territory. I looked it up, Googled, plight of colored people, 1955. And what came up was the lynchings. 4,000 lynchings from the end of the Civil War to 1955. That had an impact on me that gave me an epiphany. You could say legitimately, and this is where Claudette Colvin was from, by the way, where this red circle. So she was no stranger to the inequities that were going on, right? The plight of colored people in 1955 could be legitimately put into the context of deaths per day. So, but importantly, if it could, you know, over time, those deaths went down. So the curve kind of looked like this. So eventually that timeline went down. A youth, a 15-year-old, pushed this curve to the left. And therefore, there are people who didn't die. So this woman, as a youth, 15-year-old, by standing up for her rights, by knowing her rights and standing up for them, literally saved lives. So I start to think, how did this girl learn her rights, right? Because, you know, not necessarily everyone would have known that you know, they couldn't make you stand up. Because if they wanted to, fine, but the law was they could not make you stand up. If there was not another seat, they could not move you, right? Claudette's English teacher took time out of teaching English and taught the class about the Articles of Confederation and really empowered Claudette and her classmates. So you could say, Colvin literally saved lives. You could extend that and say, because of the influence of Mrs. Geraldine Nesbitt as a teacher, she literally saved lives. Of what she taught that made the difference. And that content would fall under the umbrella of not fully defined peace education. So, Claudette Colvin's story teaches us that peace education literally saved. Learn from the past and look at the future. Let's jump right into the African Union. 6 regions, 1.3 million people around the world in the diaspora. Year document in the 2063. After I gave that talk at the Bronx, just saving lives, someone came up to me and said, Mr. Ogina, no one's ever told would you be willing to tell that story the way you just told it to the ambassador from the African Union to the UN? Sure, I'd be honored. When I went there, he asked me to review this document, Agenda 2060. So Agenda 2063 calls for peace education, but there is no language in Agenda 2063 to support that. So I've been working towards defining, working towards a process that could use a Pan-African perspective.
Didn't hear you.
Can you hear me? No? Hello? No?
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, so there are Pan-African groups that exist. So I suggested to the ambassador and various others that, hey, you got all this Pan-African activity going on, start up a Pan-African curriculum development working group. And with the help of a professor in Senegal, we modeled it, and that's what we're doing. We're going to have 3 meetings with 2 delegates from every country over the course of 24 to 36 months, and that's about $4 million. So we're raising that money. Then we're going to visit all the tribes, and we are also going to be involving all the tribes. Now, we know that the topics for peace education are not really defined, but we know whatever they come up to be, and this group will define them, they all sit on a foundation of human rights. So when this curriculum eventually does happen, if it doesn't happen according to some facilitation, it's not going to happen in Africa till, say, 2035. And most people agree with that because that's sometime after the SDGs. But if we're able to get on top of this process, we can pull that timeline up by a decade. And Claudette Colvin's story teaches us that literally saves lives. As far as the human rights piece goes, we know that human rights has to become part of the discussion. So Youth for Human Rights, one of our partners, has already a curriculum for that. So it's just a cut and paste sort of thing. So there's a lot of ways to make this be a shorter timeline. And again, for those who prepare for it, you can benefit from inculcating these sorts of things into your culture. And the goal here is to pull that timeline up and literally save lives while preparing everything. NGO of Project Peace Lights was formed to do that. And finally, let me bring us back here. Your role is to manifest the future. In order to do that, you've got to prepare yourselves. So you've got to know that you have this power collectively. You cannot do this by yourself. You've got to partner with each other in order to be able to pull this off. Taking care of yourself, keeping yourself in balance so that you can put your oxygen mask on first, right? Keep learning. Learn the history behind different conflicts and different ways of dealing with them. Becoming consciously competent in your situation. There's a lot of interfaith struggle in the world. So working with interfaith groups is going to be a very productive path forward for all of you. And I suggest and really recommend that you find interfaith groups or create them to do that. Keep pushing. You cannot afford a 50-year or a 20-year wait because you didn't grasp your power and then take advantage of it. So really try and be aware of that. And organization is a big part of that, obviously. Engaging the diaspora, and if you're from Africa, is usually important. And that goes both ways. And finally, I said you can't do it alone. Have fun, manifest your future. But finally, when you want something, the universe conspires to help you get it. So know that. In this journey I'm on, we're going to accelerate peace education. I have no doubt. But the universe has been putting the pieces in front of me because that is the energy that has been put out. Last slide. Know that everything you're doing is saving lives every day. Any acceleration of those timelines, every action that accelerates those timelines literally saves lives. So you should feel empowered and inspired based on all of these actions that you are doing and taking upon yourself. So thank you very much. Much appreciated. And all the best. I'm a resource. If anyone wants to reach out to me, please, anything I can do.
Thank you, Mr. Petroji. That was inspiring. It was educating. It was informative, and it was encouraging as well. Sorry, my video is not coming up. My connection has gone so bad. So I need to, and I need you to hear me more than you can see me, but I will sort it out soon. So thank you for that. Project Peace Light and Peace Lights are things everyone should start looking forward to and getting to know more about it. With the website and with the lots of information that is showing on the website, Africa needs to key in. Africa needs to key in and make the world a better place. But I want to thank Mr. Pete Regina, especially for bringing in that light symbol. In the world today, everything has to do with symbol. Everything. You are in a religious organization, you're a political party, you should have your slogan. Everything has to do with symbol. And for you bringing up a symbol of peace is so much more because there is nothing that cannot be achieved on earth without peace. Say from the family, it's going to be in a serious war between the husband and the wife and the kids. If there's no peace in the workplaces, everything. So Project Peace Lights is a symbol everyone has to adapt and get used to. We need to start showing it in the lobby, at homes, in offices, everywhere, so that people will get conscious and they become aware that without peace there is no progress. And on that note, I want to welcome our next speaker. She is Bangladeshi living in the United States for higher studies. She has been a strong voice of climate advocacy from a very young age and is currently serving as the executive director of Project Team 54 Project International. She is also very vocal about human rights. You will get to hear this. And she has been working to raise awareness in our community about the rights we all have as humans. Her name is Jasmine Akhtar Promi, and she has been doing a lot for the world through Team 54 project. And this has led to, seeing her represent our country at the United Nations headquarters as a young delegate for Bangladesh in 2019. She has been doing a lot and she is doing more, but it's better we hear from her. Please join me to welcome Jasmine Promi.
Thank you so much, John Bosco, for the wonderful introduction, and thanks for everyone for taking the time to listen to all of us who are sharing our thoughts and views today. First of all, I would like to start by wishing all of you a very happy International Youth Day. That's why we're here today, right? And we're celebrating the power of youth, the power of unity. Now, why do I say the power of unity? And based on everything we just heard from Peter, does that tell you something? Does that tell you that the previous years, the prior years before this generation, there were so many differences that was so visible to people, that was so important to people, right? These differences separated us, be it based on color. Obviously, Peter talked a lot about how it was based on color, on gender, and there are other factors based on which there were differences. There still are, actually, like nationality, right, ethnicity. So keeping all those things in mind, what I think is that we have taken a huge leap, considering the position where we used to be, like Peter mentioned, right? And I think that my generation, or this generation, the generation that we call youth today, right? They are much more aware of these things. They are actually raising the voice. They're actually taking the time to learn. They're, pointing out that, okay, these differences does not mean anything. We're all the children of the earth. We all belong to the same race. There is no other race. There is no other differences. We are all human beings, right? And I think that this generation, in this point in time, has been more vocal and aware than any other point in history. So that is the hope for unity. This is why youth to me means unity. So that's why what we are doing today is we are celebrating the youth. We're celebrating the power of youth and the symbolism of unity, right? One more thing that I think about today's youth is that you know, we are much better equipped than what our previous generations at our age used to be. For example, if I speak a little bit about our president sitting here today, Daniel, so I'm 23. When Daniel was 23, I'm pretty sure he did not have internet like I do. He did not have resources to learn like I do. He did not have resources to gain skills like I do. Right today, like I'm sitting at my home in this pandemic, I'm talking to all of you, and I don't know, you guys are connecting from all around the world, right? And you're getting this information from the internet, and I'm able to do that, but Daniel did not have this opportunity, right? I can't imagine him doing that at my age, but I have that ability, I have that opportunity to do that. I even if it's not a seminar or, you know, a workshop or something like that, I can take online courses to gain hands-on knowledge about, or like, you know, just to learn a new skill, be it digital marketing, be it, you know, some other course, some coding course, whatever, right? So what's my point? My point is that if you have the opportunity, use it, utilize it. Okay, because the world is changing, and it's my message to the youth would be that, you know, take as it comes, because if you don't dip your hand in the flowing river, the water would be far off and you would be left behind, you know. So just take this experience, to take the skills and start learning, because we as youth represent change, we represent innovation. So if you are not experienced with what is going on right now, you will have no idea what will be happening tomorrow, and you yourself should be the flag bearer of change, of, you know, of innovation. And I think that you know, I always had this vision that we will always address the problems that are today so that we know where to go tomorrow, right? Like as youth, and I think that youth has this potential. We have that energy, that intention. We just need that understanding and that awareness so that we can implement that and use our energy and our potential for a better future. And talking about peace, I would very much like to be very hopeful and give out a, you know, a very hopeful message, but it is sad that I have to say this, that half of the people that we call youth today, and more than half actually, I wouldn't go into statistics, but just to give you an idea, like a lot of the nations today as we speak are in war-torn zones, right? And a lot of the children that are being raised here, can you imagine what kind of upbringing they're getting? What is their environment? Let that sink in for a while. If you and I were to grow in an environment like this, would you be talking peace here right now? I don't think so. Your first priority would be how to have your proper housing, how to have a living, how to have security so that you're not dead tomorrow. When you wake up, you don't see someone's dying, right? So that kind of environment, where when you're growing up in that kind of environment, can you realize, can you start to understand how that person turns out to be in their adulthood? Do you think you can go and talk peace to them? Is it that easy? It isn't, right? It's not easy for them. So can you imagine what the future adult generation is going to be like? So what's my point? My point is that we have to start addressing these things, and we are far beyond I keep saying this thing, we are far beyond the point of just talking. But I'm really tired of talking, because the world I inherited from the previous generation is not in peace. And it's not going to be in peace. And if we don't take action now, I don't think we're going anywhere. So this is why I think UN calls this decade the decade of action. Okay, it's good that we're talking about it's good that we're raising the awareness, we're, you know, making people conscious of this, but that is simply not enough, right? So my message would be, yes, get yourself educated, learn, be aware, spread awareness, but also come up with an action plan. Decide where you're at, understand where you're at, decide where you want to go, and plan out how you want to get there. And yeah, so that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. With that, over to John Vasco.
Thank you, Jasmine, for this wonderful presentation. You see, the world is going digital and it's getting better because there was a time when internet never existed. No one knew what to do, what not to do, or how even to do them. But today, one can simply go to Google, get information. We have more freedom of doing things now, and this is an opportunity for us to, get the best we can from this world, from this generation, from the earth, from the globe as a whole. Because yesterday was different from today. We do not know how tomorrow will be. So the best time um, to live a life of positivity, a life of impact, it's now. So quickly, we would like to um, go to another speaker, but I want to implore all of us. We do not have a lot of time, and some viewers are already, leaving the program, so we can, keep to our time. So next, we are going to listen to another powerful presentation from one of us here. Um, sorry, I'm having Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
John Bosco.
Yep.
Okay, so the next presentation we're gonna get from Alicia Rashid. Alicia, please, I would like you to do your introduction by yourself. Since you know
Okay.
us better, you know yourself better than we do know you, it will be easier for you to give a summary introduction of yourself, and so we can use the time better. Thank you.
Okay. Um, okay, guys. So firstly, I want to apologize for my video. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty on my end here. So you'll just be hearing me if that's okay. So my name is Good morning, first of all, and happy International Youth Day to one and all, and to all our viewers, the youths, and my prestigious panel. My name is Alicia Rashid, and I am the owner and founder of Imperial Brands, a recently formed company that was established with the intent to empower the lives of women and youths through agriculture and promoting food security. I am from the Caribbean. I was born and raised in the country called Guyana, which is a country that is rich in agricultural activities as economic activity. Firstly, I want to congratulate the youths for their accomplishment and participation thus far in the recent global pandemic, surviving through the many drastic and life-altering changes over such a short period of time is really not a simple task. And we have made it through thus far. And I want to congratulate and thank everyone that has been um, you know, doing their selfless duties and are continuing to do so. As youths, we need to take our stance now, prepare and make implementations for the future. As my colleague said just now, Jasmine, she made a very valid point when she said, there is it's right for us, and it's very good that we're pointing out the wrongs, and we're raising awareness. But what happens to the action, and this is the time for action. I really like that quote, and I do believe in that as well, and it's also a mantra of mine. And as the great Mahatma Gandhi quoted, and I quote, "Be the change you want to see." And this is a quote that has always been an inspiration to me, and it's something that is a quote that has made me into the person I am today. Growing up as a young teenager, I was had all these opinions and thoughts about life and women and agriculture. And I always thought to myself, like, okay, yes, I'm thinking this, but what if it makes sense? And what if, anybody would listen to me? And, I have been that change, growing older and having a more mature mind, my thoughts and my opinions only became stronger. And today, I am a product of that. I'm being the change that I wanted to see in my country, in my society, and even the Caribbean as a whole. you know so today, as we celebrate International Youth Day, I just wanted to shed a little light on my current project as a youth and how I intend to create positive impacts and results. As an agricultural and a female activist, I have seen the need for more employment for women and the need to expand the agriculture sector and promote food security. And being born in a country like Guyana, where we strive on agricultural activities as our main one of our main economic activity, has truly enhanced my knowledge and love for agriculture. And which is why today I've chosen this path. And even though I have migrated to another country right here in the Caribbean, and it's known as the island of Trinidad and Tobago, this is my dream, and I'm currently living and making my dream possible. My most recent and active project has been a feasibility study on how economical, crop cultivation is for women and youths to be involved as a business venture. And I managed to finance this project by myself, and the end result is gonna really be a game changer for me. And I have two groups of women and youth. One that is presently here in Trinidad and Tobago that I'm working with to come on board with me in the bigger project, which is going to be early next year. And I have my other team in Guyana, and we're mostly focused on rice production in Guyana and transfer of technology to teach to other countries that are big importers of rice. We could actually teach you how we do so in Guyana, because we have a very um, powerful rice industry there in Guyana. So as a youth, this has been one of my game plan. And I've been working tirelessly, to improve the lives of women and youth. And as a youth, I'm very proud of what I've accomplished thus far. And I just want to send a message out there to youths. I know that we, as young teenagers, even as children, we come up with all these great ideas, and we wonder to ourselves and we say, I wonder if I make sense, and I wonder if I'll be heard. I wonder, you wonder so many things. And some people are not brave enough, to come forward and say, hey, this is what I think, or to share their ideas to the world, without even acknowledging or knowing that that might be a game changer for the world. And I want to advise you, youths out there, and children and young teenagers, that do not be afraid, and stand up for your rights. And if you see that there's something you could implement to make life easier and better for the people around you, your country, your community, and eventually the world as a whole, then do come forward. Do not be shy. Be brave. Just be brave. I have achieved where I am thus far because I have been brave, and I've been able to speak out um, on my opinions and my ideas. And I just want to encourage you to do so and to be a game changer. And I want to thank you all today in this panel, all these wonderful people. It's such a pleasure and honor to be amongst you on such a great day and to be celebrating with you guys. And John Bosco, thank you so much for the invite. It's always been a pleasure working with you, and I've always meet new people, and it's always a great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alicia. Um, you see, Alicia is someone to look up to. She's a role model. When people are worried and scared of going into agriculture, some people say it's a poor man business. She has gone into the sector and proved the whole, people. I mean, the people who are getting this whole idea, she has proved them wrong with all the achievements she has made. And if you look at it now, she's not just making profit from it. She's also sowing into the lives of people. She's leaving a legacy. She has put smiles in people's face. She has, given back life to people who are despaired, people who are worried about, what to do and what not to do. And this goes down to encourage every one of us, especially those who are coming up, that there is nothing that cannot, give you the desired success you want in life. It all boils down to your tenacity, how much effort you are putting, how much research you are doing, you know, to find out what you can do about that sector. So let us go out and, do the best we can, and then turn the small things that people neglect into big things, and you see people flocking into the sector. I want to thank you once more. And next, we are going to hear from Miss um, Gail. Sorry if I did not pronounce that well. Is Miss Gail Wool. Please, sorry, you have to help us pronounce it because this is a learning stage. So when you pronounce it by yourself, I will also be able to, I will learn from you. Kindly introduce yourself and, feed us with the, wonderful information you have for us today. Thank you.
Thank you, John Bosco. Can you hear me? Yes? Jasmine? Yes, okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Well, pronounce my name Gail, G-A-I-L, like sail, but with a G. And Gail Woon, and like Alicia, I have Guyanese heritage. My father was from Guyana, and he came to the Bahamas in his youth and basically built our island, our infrastructure and everything. So I run an NGO called EARTHCARE, and I'm a marine biologist. I need to share my screen with you to start my presentation. Give me a moment. Okay. Okay, good afternoon. It's my profound pleasure to address you on this International Youth Day. First, please accept my heartfelt, profound apology for the state of the world that the older generations are leaving the youth of today for you to deal with. I've been preaching for decades to mostly deaf ears about the ways we could change our lifestyles in order for your future to be a better place. I'm so sorry that very few people listened and took my words to heart. Let me share with you who I am and what the NGO called EARTHCARE that I founded in 1988 is and does in a short video. EARTHCARE is an environmental education NGO, non-governmental organization that works on current environmental issues affecting the environment. Our mission is to empower students and teachers to get involved and be proactive with their voice. We encourage them to write to the government of the Bahamas and express their views on current environmental issues. We also have a Saturday program in which students learn about various issues such as pollution, habitat destruction, mangrove protection, invasive species, sustainable fisheries, eco-art, climate change, healthy lifestyles, sustainable transportation, and many others. Fun field trips follow these lessons. The path to peace is through love, real love, unconditional love. Loving yourself unconditionally is the path to peace. It's your greatest act of service to humanity. Loving yourself ends lack, ends pain, and ends suffering. Loving yourself unconditionally is putting God first. Loving yourself unconditionally is the path to peace. Enhance socioeconomic progress. What does this mean? Socioeconomic development is the process of social and economic development in a society. Socioeconomic development is measured with indicators such as GDP, life expectancy, literacy, and levels of employment. Socioeconomic factors include occupation, education, income, wealth, and where someone lives. Social economic progress should include every section of the society, as it aims to ensure that everyone meet their basic needs that are essential to live a life of dignity. In my country, the Bahamas, we have a very beautiful country. We are a proud people. We've been blessed with an organization that manages our many national parks called the Bahamas National Trust. We've entrusted them to guard our natural heritage and environment. Up until very recently, our economy was largely based on tourism. We had become very good at attracting and keeping satisfied tourists coming back to our crystal clear water shores. We have a vibrant banking industry, and some of the islands have various industries. We don't have a great life expectancy, however, due to a preponderance of preventable diseases such as diabetes and hypertension. We unfortunately love fast foods, high-fat foods, and sugary drinks. Thankfully, our youth are learning how to live healthy lifestyles, eating to live instead of living to eat, and exercising. Our employment levels have been fairly stable in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. In the 2000s, we had some setbacks with more frequent climate-changed hurricanes. On my island in particular, Grand Bahama Island, we were negatively impacted by several mega storms, Hurricanes Floyd, Francis, Jean, and Matthew, which caused various levels of flooding, and most recently, the monster storm, Hurricane Dorian. Hurricane Dorian flooded our flat island with 20 to 25-foot storm surge, and 70% of the entire island was underwater for at least 40 straight hours. My island is still trying to rebuild almost 1 year later. This is the hurricane shelter that my daughter and I went to during Hurricane Dorian. The roof blew off while we were under it, and shortly thereafter I got a call from the Washington Post asking how we were doing. We still have people displaced, homeless, and or living in tents with no power or water. 11 months after Hurricane Dorian, the struggle is real. This is our reality. We have to fill and tote fresh water from stations throughout the island of Grand Bahama. Our original source of city fresh water was inundated by saltwater intrusion from climate-changed Hurricane Dorian. Saltwater intrusion is rarely reversed in the water table. The water which flows out of our taps is saltwater, non-potable. We can bathe with it, but not cook or wash dishes. So every family has to fill containers with fresh water and take it to our homes for use by our families. And now we have to do this in the age of COVID-19. Dorian also devastated the islands of Abaco. An entire community of mostly undocumented immigrants was almost completely decimated there. The government totals for deaths are still in dispute, but the last count I heard was 78 people dead from Dorian. Some of our citizens left the country, and some have chosen not to return, basically making them climate change refugees. Our education system leaves a bit to be desired. Our national grade average has been D for a few years now. Yes, you heard correctly, not A, not B, not C, but grade D. There are private schools that have better grade averages. However, most are out of reach of the middle class and lower than middle class families' income because of the high tuition required. When students leave the secondary schools, many are able to go on to college level. When this happens, sometimes we get what we call a brain drain. Students who go away for college, many tend to stay overseas rather than come home to use their knowledge to make our country a better place. One of the reasons for this is we have a limited amount of jobs, and some of the better paying jobs are given to expatriates who are supposed to train Bahamian citizens to replace them and take their jobs, but many tend to stay on the job for years, not making any openings for the youth.
Hello, Gail.
Hello.
Yes, our Zoom meeting might end in a few minutes. So I sent a link in the chat box. I would like you to, head on to the link and continue there.
So, when did it end? Oh.
We're still going on.
Oh,
The meeting time was
sorry.
extended by Zoom, so we can go on. I just got notified.
I'm sorry. What's happening?
You can continue. Don't worry. Everything is fine now.
Oh, okay. All right. Wealth presents a source of security, providing a measure of a household's ability to meet emergencies, absorb economic shocks, or provide the means to live comfortably. Like most countries, we have a disparity in people with large wealth reserves and people without large wealth reserves. Finally, I will address the elephant in the room, COVID-19, the disease caused by the severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, or SARS-CoV-2. In December, the novel new virus was identified. Since then, it is safe to say that over our entire globe, our lives have turned completely upside down, and not in a good way. As of March 12th, we had no cases in the Bahamas. As the Bahamas is experiencing our second surge now, we have attained the dubious title as the worst country dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. We are listed as 184 out of 184 countries. Many of our islands are on complete lockdown. Our healthcare system is being tested beyond its capacity. My particular island of Grand Bahama is a COVID-19 hotspot, so no travel is allowed into or out of the island. Our first lockdown began in the third week of March 2020. Some families have had no income since then. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that as youth, you are going to need to have your wits about you. By that I mean learn as much as you can from mentors, become as computer literate as possible, innovate, think of unique ways to navigate and make a living in this post-COVID-19 world. I don't think you can afford to wait for a vaccine. I think the time is now for you to grab the projects that you want to do and become your own entrepreneur. Develop and run your own businesses. Utilize the funding agencies that are available. Write grant proposals. Apply to get funding to start your own businesses. Use the internet and become savvy about technology. We, the elders, are counting on you to clean up the mess that we have given you and to make this world and your countries better places, sustainable places, clean places, and places that you would want to raise your own families. You have the means, your youth, and your brain power. I cannot wait to see what you come up with. And I also want to mention that in the Bahamas, we are blessed to have many NGOs that work together on environmental issues and various issues, socioeconomic issues. And I've been blessed to be able to work closely with Mr. Joseph Darville of Save the Bays and Rashima Ingram of the Waterkeeper Alliance. And we've been able to do some projects which were part of the United Nations Sustainable Goals program. We were able to plant mangroves last summer with environmental groups who traveled all the way from China and their youth to work with us. And so that was a very, very wonderful and gratifying week that those people were here on our island. So thank you for inviting me to address you on this very important International Youth Day.
Thank you, Gail, for this wonderful presentation. We see the healthcare is doing a lot, and there's this popular saying that goes like this. It says, "The way you make your bed, so you will lie on it." So this calls us to take care of the Mother Earth, because if we do not take care of the earth by ourselves, we will not have anything out of it. So quickly, I would like us to go to the next speaker. The next speaker is someone we know very well. He has been doing a lot in this global program, championing a lot of causes. He's no other person than Dr. Daniel Chidubem, the founder and president of Team 54 Project International. It's a US-based group that finds innovative ways to advocate and push for climate solutions. So I would like Dr. Daniel to tell us more about himself and then give us the good news of today. Because all we've been listening to is all good news, it's all messages of peace, it's all messages of progress, it's all messages of how the youth can become better youth and not disappoint the coming generation. So welcome once again, Dr. Daniel Bujie. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you so much, John Bosco, the moderator and the conveyor of this stuff. And thank you so much, my staffs and my members and partners across the Caribbean, across Africa, and my partners in the United States that have joined us, and those online that are reaching out to us. Happy International Youth Day. I am so blessed when John Bosco and his organization, Peace Campaign, brought the concept of us partnering together to add value and content into the space, a space that is already bedeviled with a pandemic that people are still trying to address. So it is indeed great that young people just like John Bosco, myself, Jasmine, you know, and my even good friend from BioEscape, Miss Francis, all working hand in hand to change the narrative. Like Gail has said, that it's unfortunate that what has been handed over to us is a battered nation or a battered planet. But it is still up to us to make it right. And the window we have is not so wide again. It requires us, you know, coming together, be truthful to ourselves, using facts and figures, and us trying to use the global knowledge and understanding of technology and applying it locally. It is a global understanding, it's a global movement, it's a global problem, but we need to act locally. It is bringing it down to the local level that actually have that ripple effect and that can cause it. On that note, I want to again introduce myself. I'm the founder of Team 54 Project, and we're working hand in hand to ensure that we bring innovative, smart, technologically based solutions to simple day challenges to address the climate struggle. We understand that the environmental issues are very complex, and people always forget that whatever enters into the environment trickles down into your life, your health, your security, your education, your peace, every aspect of your, even socio-economic factor, even the spread of cancer has environmental basis. So in as much as you think it is so complex, it doesn't affect you, it's all about strikes, which is not. People should realize that the environment is way bigger, and whatever trickles down into that environment pollutes every other system that is operating, distorts every other thing that we so hold dear to. And that's why it's important that we begin to see newer ways of finding and resolving our issues, especially conflicts, newer ways of bringing on board young people. Like Gail has said, for the last 50 to 60 years, young people have been alienated in global governance, global issue, decision-making issues that have direct impact in their life. They have. But in the last 2-3 years, young people have woken up to remind the adults in the house that the time has come to change that narrative, that what were you doing all this while the house was burning? You are now giving us ashes to build from, whereas your own fathers gave you halls. All you needed to do was give us skyscrapers. So it's just unfortunate that we're where we are. But I've always known this, that anytime mankind is bedeviled with a lot of problems, smart people, intelligent people, people that love, people that want to find solutions, social change has always rise up. But you cannot rise up if there is no environment of peace. No matter what we are doing today, if there is no peace, there can never be progress. And peace in itself is so abstract that people define peace relative to war. No, if you don't have peace in your home, in your family, there can never be progress. You understand? So we should start changing that mentality that peace has to do with conflict, active conflict, strife, communal clash, and things like that. No, peace is an environment, or is an intentional ecospace you create to bring about the establishment of prosperity, to bring about the establishment of love, to bring about the establishment of compassion, to drag people along, to be more inclusive. So the theme of the event of bringing in peace into socio-economic productivity or socio-economic enhancement that we can teach young people is indeed very apt, especially knowing that the international global team is how do we engage young people. You can't engage young people if the environment is not right. You can't engage young people if you do not know the demographic of these young people. Young people are divided into a lot of categories. We have toddlers, we have infants who cannot even make decisions for themselves. We have high school students, we have elementary students, we have university students, we have those that transition from university into the working class group. We have those that are involved in politics. All these groups of youth or young people have interest at heart. So if we must get them engaged so that we can create a future that can bring about peace and sustainable development, their interest is priority. For the first time in a very long time, people are listening to young people because they can't go anywhere again, because the lies do not hold water again. There's no young person in this world, especially in my country, I speak for my country, that does not understand Nigeria, that does not understand that whatever is going on is not working again. It is not working again. The lies have to stop. The style of governance has to change. Governance now must be with human face. All these capitalistic principles and philosophy cannot work. Why? COVID has exposed that. COVID has told us that we have been doing lip service to sustainable development goals. Those goals that will empower people, those goals that will bring people on board, those goals that will empower youth, those goals that will gradually move us from destroying the environment to creating new ideas. These are ways and things and times that young people need to rise up. I will also want to bring the attention to the world, especially those of our friends on Facebook watching us, that a time will come when you need to give account, of what you've done with your life. Whether you like it or not, your life has an accountability clause. You understand? For many people, religious faith, cultural beliefs helps them, maintain some bit of sanity. But for those that do not have all those stuff, it drives people crazy. The environment now is polarizing people on every level. And this is the time for everybody to step back. No one is the enemy. The intentions may look very complex. Our focus should be on humanity. Our focus should be on all those that we have left behind. And we have left behind our young people. We did not bring them to speed on what, after the World War, on what progress should be in the next 50 years. We did not bring them to speed on local issues. We did not bring them to speed on empowering and using them to replace the older ones in elective position. We did not give them quota systems on how to do. We always select the worst of them to represent their interests. We use them in political strides or political campaigns. We use them to carry our bags while the house burns. So the truth of the matter is this: if we are going to look back, our kids are going to look back at the last 50 to 40 years is definitely a sad narrative. And it is important we start to create this eco space of peace. Peace will only come when we ensure that every other person that has been marginalized, that has been there, is being heard, when we reach consensus agreement, when we show compassion to everyone, irrespective of the skin, when we listen to the voice of reasoning. So when we throw away political party mantra and bring on board human manifestos, it is time people realize that political parties are just a vehicle for you to actualize a bigger vision. You are not supposed to carry your political ideology at the expense of humanity. And the more we begin to see all this, the more we begin to see that all the things we are doing are the things causing these conflicts, are the things causing, the strife, are the things causing the situation where we found ourselves. Because of the absence of peace, people are not trustworthy. Governments are not, they don't think they are responsible to people. Even the citizenry keep on electing people they know cannot do better, because it's one thing to always accuse those that govern. It's another thing to look at the people and the society from where they come out. Leaders that you see are a representation of the society. Whether they are in the majority or the minority is a different thing. So it's up to us to start to teach ourselves, those fundamental principles, that when you are put in place in a position of power, what you are supposed to do is create more ladders for people to join you, replace you, and sustain that that vision. I will end by saying this, that the International Youth Day is a day that has been recognized all over the world. As we speak, thousands of events are going on. I have been joining about 6 other events, and I have about 9 more events to speak on. But this is very important, and this is what I have said to every single person, that development of peace and engaging youth is an intentional decision. If you choose not to involve youth, all you are saying is that the existence of your nation will perish. If you choose not to bring young people on board, or people that have been marginalized, all you are setting yourself up for is for chaos and anarchy. It is what we have seen in the US, we are seeing in Europe, we are seeing even in international organizations, in WHO. It is time to press the button and bring on board peace. It is time to listen to those that have been forsaken. It is time to start telling your children to prepare for the century. And in preparing for the century, they need to be prepared, and they need to know the technology of today, the skills of yesterday, the governance style of yesterday, the industrial philosophy and the socio-economical parameters of yesterday is not working. It took an invisible virus, or it took an invisible organism to teach us that we've been deceiving ourselves. And the sooner we get all this on board, the sooner we start to look for the interest of the people, the sooner we start to frame government policies to cater for environmental consideration, socioeconomic parameters, and the interest of our continuity as a human race, the better for us. And when we start to create that peaceful ecospace, other animals, people forget that other animals that cannot talk are looking up to us to be responsible. It's often sad that people don't know that it's not only about you, it's also about that animal, about the goat, about the lions, about those snakes, about those animals that are extinct. And when you think your life doesn't mean anything, then what do you say for those animals that cannot speak for themselves? So on that note, I want to thank all young people all over the world. I want to thank John Bosco and the entire team. I want to thank Jasmine. I also want to thank Gil and many of the United Nations officers. I've seen one of our fellows and mentor, Dr. Michael Hove. Thank you for joining. You will have also a time to speak. Thank you, BioEscape Francis. You will also have time to speak. But the most important thing is that I know all of us are doing excellently well in all our adventure. We need to amplify this message that if we are to move forward post-COVID, that any plan done without changing what has brought us to the COVID time will only amount to failure for us. And unless we start to think of building a greener world, a world that will have no pollution, a world that will have something to give back to the people, the better for us. Thank you, John Bosco, and then God bless everybody. Happy International Youth Day.
Thank you, Dr. Daniel. Happy International Youth Day. I want to thank everyone who has spoken, and at the same time, welcome Dr. Michael. Dr. Michael, you already know what we are working on. We are trying to tell this generation that they must not fail the coming generation. We would like to, if you have some words for us, we would like you to speak to us. Add your voice to this message, because the youth of today is focused on some vanity things, money, influence, and all of that. But then it's well known that when the youthful exuberance has passed, when responsibility comes in, the regular youth who is now old will begin to say, I wish I knew all of these things. And that is why we are doing our best to pass this message so that no one will say he wish he knew or he wish he heard. Dr. Michael, do you have some words for us?
Thank you so very much. I must commend Dr. Daniel for this inspiration. Daniel has always been one of the lights at the Cornell University laboratory where we had a fellowship, and his contributions has always been quite exceptional, and it's a great inspiration to us all, not only in Nigeria, but in Africa. Yeah, the area of the youth is one of the areas that always been of interest to me. Right from my high school, I've always loved to interact with the younger generation. Number one, we need to ask ourselves, what is the inheritance we are going to pass down to our children? The natural inheritance, the earth that we are going to leave for these children. It's not if I leave $1 million for my daughter and I leave a dying earth for my daughter, that $1 million may not last 365 days because of the challenges this younger generation will face. So I think this older generation should think more of the earth as an inheritance we are handing over to them. The second thing is we should ensure that in our educational system and from home, we help them to imbibe the culture of a healthy environment and to be willing to pay the price for a healthier environment. They should be willing to pay the price for the healthier environment. That is the younger generation. And also we in the older generation should ensure that we don't give polluted earth as inheritance and endeavor to give a cleaner earth. We live in this world maybe for 100 years, 90 years, and you are living the world with, let me say, 50 gigabytes of carbon dioxide as inheritance. A young child is coming in to inherit that polluted earth, and he has another maybe 70, 80 years more to live. So these are the challenges we should think about and work on in our age. I'd also like to mention that our educational system has to change. Our vision must change. In many of our institutions, from elementary to the university, most of the curriculum, sorry to say, are dying, others are dead. I'm proud to mention that there are pockets of institutions where the curriculum has shifted to the 21st century generation. Where I am currently, where I'm working now, is the African Center for Innovative and Transformative STEM Education. It's a World Bank project. Here we have transformed science education into contemporary learning and curriculum, 21st century skills. These are the kind of vision we should be selling to the Nigerian system. We should ensure that we keep on pushing in the media, and I trust this will bring about a change. Another thing we must do, we must go on social media extensively and ensure that we give a paradigm shift to our younger generation. As Daniel said, And as John Bosco has also mentioned, their psyche is totally different. This is not a matter of religion. I have seen children who are different, serious about religion, and yet this flashy and highly worldly mindedness is a problem to them. So it's not a matter of religion at all. I have met them. I have seen children of people you would think they are real strong clergy, and you still find children from their background, they are so carnally minded about things of this world. He wants to see you wearing a $500 shoe, and this boy is thinking, in the next 2 weeks, I want to buy it. And he's not concentrating on what will benefit his character, what will benefit his future. He's looking for something to do in 1 week and buy that shoe and then show you, I got your shoe, man. So these are the things we must go on social media. And then finally, celebrity. Many of them are not helping the younger generation, because when you portray too much of flashy things, worldly things to these children, as that is what has made me who I am. If the kind of dress I wear is what has made me who I am, and I portray to them and I tell them this is life, this is what the world is all about, you are shifting their thinking to the wrong direction, and they will not value education. They won't value environmental ethics. They will only value whatever I do to get it is the real thing. So our celebrity too needs to really imbibe this culture and pass it on to the generation. Finally, advertisement. I found some of our adverts going on in Nigeria and other parts of the world. Some of them, they value the exhibit. Sometimes doesn't help our younger generation. I think these are some of the points I would like to share. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Thank you, everyone, for staying on for this long call. It has gotten longer than we planned, but it's getting longer for good, because if we do not pass this message across, we may have a lot of apologies to render to the upcoming generation. And like Doctor has said now, it's so sad when you look at the public and those things that are supposed to be done in the hiding because they don't seem good to the society. They are rather what is being portrayed for general viewing these days. You go to the internet, you go to social media, everywhere people want to be noticed. And unfortunately, they want to be noticed for doing the wrong thing. And it's time for us to change. And that is why we're bringing out this message. Anything that has a starting date can also have an ending date. We know how we got here, and we can begin to retrace our steps and make this life worth living and make the message of peace. We make this word peace, we make it a family word. That's why I like some religious organizations. When you go to their for their service, you hear them mentioning peace, peace, peace. It's not just for fancy. They are doing it for a purpose, so that they register the word peace in the mind of all the people who come there. I want to ask some questions right now, and I'm going to take also questions that our participants and viewers are asking on various platforms where we are airing this
Hello, John Bosco.
Yeah.
Yes, Miss Francis of BioEscape just joined.
Okay, I'm trying to see if she's here.
Yes, she's here.
Okay, yeah, she's here. Okay, I was about to ask questions and then take questions from our viewers. But then I would like us to also hear from Francis. Francis has the same message of peace for us. Hello, Francis. Are you there?
Yes, she's there. Francis.
Hello, Francis. It appears she's having connection issues. So while we wait for Francis, while we wait for Francis, I want to ask a couple of questions. And one of these questions that bothers the youth is, what does it mean when you say youth engagement? And what benefits and challenges are embedded in this youth engagement? Because the word engagement, it could mean various things. And in recent times, especially from the United Nations, the youth are beginning to hear engage, engage, engage. So the question is, in what manner are the youth expected to engage, and what are the benefits and challenges of this meaningful engagement? I'm throwing this question to Dr. Daniel, and after he has helped us with this question, if someone else has an answer to it, he should also help us.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to come last, but thank you. Yes, and you have asked a very important question, and sadly, these are questions at the national level that people have not been able to explain. What does it mean, or how do I engage youth meaningfully towards achieving sustainable development goal? Now, at the UN level, from all my interaction with the UN, because I spoke at the UN General Assembly in September, about 7 months ago. Now, there's a definition for youthful engagement towards sustainable development goal. Now, that definition says that, I'm paraphrasing, it says that it's an intentional in quotes, because youths have definition. For us in Team 54 project, being a youth is at heart. If you have the vitality, if you have the strength within, the willingness, the like-mindedness to be able to ensure that others achieve prosperity, sustainable prosperity, and live in peace with the environment. Whoever tries to drive that agenda, either as a project, either as is said to us in my own organization, a youth. However, the world or academically, youths are defined chronologically and are categorized in age. You understand, and it varies from one continent or the other. So the UN standard is any youth is a young person from 0 to 29 years. UN 0 to 29 years. And Africa, because we know in Africa that our cultures vary. Before you can even graduate in my own clan to say you are now a man, there's a number of years you have to get. So because you are 18 years old, you cannot go to my own town hall meeting and start to sprue things. No. So in Africa, that age limit has further been extended and it varies. But the consensus in the African Union is 35. But in Nigeria, I know that we go as far as 40 because there's an adage that I grew to know that says that life truly, being a man or being a full adult, begins at 40 years. Is an adage in my own community. The point is this, that all the years in between 0 and 40 are formative years that you are learning from the environment, and the community is the one teaching you. A child is owned by the community, not by your father and your mother. I'm talking about the African context. So on that note, they believe that 40 years of age is enough time for whoever, whether you're a slow learner, you're a fast learner, you are whatever learner, it's enough time for you to transition, into full adulthood, full responsibility. And it's even reflected in our laws on what age needs to be president or not. Although that has changed because young people like me, wonderful people like Laz, wonderful people, organizations like Not Too Young to Run have changed the narrative that now what we are defining as young or youth is the innovative concepts, the new ideas to addressing the challenges of our time. And young people seem to have that bastion of knowledge, or young people seem to have that vitality and that energy to push it forward. So I'll answer your question by saying the definition for youthful engagement, either at the international level or the local level, is defined by this: an intentional partnership that any organization, any country, any world leader, any local government leader, any county, any chief, any dad, any mom must have, that will actively involve young people doing the following things. I call it AID, A-I-D-A, doing the following things. One, actively being involved in the agenda, A. Ensuring that that agenda is implemented, I. D. Ensuring that the decision making for the implementation is funneled through that biosympathetic bio relationship. And then finally, as much as possible, ensuring that that project or the agenda between both of you are executed. So the intentional partnership between young people, such that decision making, they are part of it, implementation, they are part of it, execution and evaluation, they are part of it, the agenda setting before all this, they are part of it, defines how to engage young people. So using that template for everything you do, even in your family, you want to make a decision in your family, you have to follow that stuff. Please, my son, whether he's 16 years old, 18 years old, 9, just talk to him. These are some, what do you think? Hear from him, and then set up a consensus agreement and then move on. So your question is up, and this question needs to be domesticated at the local level, you know, because at the national level, we seem to have enough wonderful discussion. The United Nations Secretary General, thankfully, has involved a lot of us and are bringing more new boys into the caucus. The President of the General Assembly just sent an email to some of us yesterday of that willingness to engage with us. So at the international level, it seems to be a more resonating thing. But at the local level, that's where the challenges are. That's where the challenges of governance, that's where the poverty is felt strongly. Poverty is not felt at the international level. We all know that poverty is felt at the local level. And that's why this youth engagement, which I now call the general intergenerational engagement. You must engage youth, because a 15-year-old has a mother and a father, and you need consent, right? So you still have to have them involved in the decision making, in the implementation, in the execution, and also in ensuring that the agenda is set. So these thematic points are the foundation upon which youths are engaged, and these are the explanation that we should be giving to all our young people. I don't know if any of the speakers have, but this to me is what I feel youthful engagement should mean, and what young people should know and take out that youthful engagement mean. Of course, in addressing all the global issues, whether it's climate change, whether it's economic empowerment, whether it's achieving the sustainable development goal, it is still that same abbreviation, AIDE. You know, A being the agenda setting, you know, I being the implementation, D being the decision making for reaching this implementation, and E being the execution or the evaluation of all the decisions and all the implementation that we, you know, to see that it's more sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Daniel, for this detailed explanation. I would like to read out a message from Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations. He's calling on, okay, let me read it. Let me quote him. He said, "I call on leaders and adults everywhere to do everything possible to enable the world's youth to enjoy lives of safety, dignity, and opportunity, and contribute to the fullest of their great potential." From Antonio Guterres. So this is his call on leaders and adults. And we know that the International Youth Day is not just for the young people, because the youth of today is no longer people who are, you know, below certain age range. The youth of today includes those who are young, and also those who are young at heart, and those who are very old, but, you know, they are committed to helping the young people, you know, grow and make progress in life. So my question here is, how can the adults in the world help the youth, you know, achieve this great potential of theirs that Antonio is calling for? I am asking this question to Jasmine. Jasmine, please tell us how the adults of today can help the youth, you know, achieve their great potential.
Thank you, John Bosco, for the question and whoever asked the question. So, I think that in my personal opinion, uh, that the best way that the adults can help the youth is by listening to them, by providing them the resources, of course, to grow and to achieve what they want to, but also to come into a conversation with them. A lot of time, what I faced in my community, I don't know how it is. I mean, I see the same thing pretty much in US too, but more in my community that, oh, you're young, so you don't know what you're talking about. That's not true. That's not true. Maybe I know something more about, I know more about climate change than the people, the adult people in my community does. It has nothing to do with my age. It has what my intentions are, how much I want to learn, how much I have put the effort in, like what experience I have gained, right? So don't dismiss people just because they're young. Don't dismiss people just because they're naive. Don't take away opportunity from, don't deprive them of opportunities just because you think that they're not capable of. Your thinking does not change if a person is capable or not. The person's thinking change if the person is capable or not, right? It's said that the only limits that we have are the ones we put in our minds, right? That we put in our own thinking. So it's up to me, right? If I'm capable or not, that's up to me. How I think, how I carry myself, how I channel throughout the day. Do I spend the time learning? Do I spend the time to organize my stuff, to actually look for solutions to problems, right? So I would say that to engage with the youth is the key thing that the adults can do today, and to sit down in a conversation with them. And a lot of times, you know, some adults don't understand technology. Some adults don't understand a lot of the things that are going on in our generation that they do not understand. So sit down with that person and ask them, how is it going? Like, how does that work? Can you please tell us that whatever we are doing, is it helping your generation? For example, the education system is such a scam right now, right? The students don't have money, and then they take out loan, and they keep studying, and then they don't have job, and then they do get a job but end up paying the loan for the rest of their lives. What a scam. Do you sit down with these people and ask them that, is the system working for them? Is it a viable system? So I think the best way to answer is that the adults need to sit down with the youth and have that conversation. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, John Bosco. Thank you.
John Bosco, can I add one more point there? That was a great answer, Jasmine.
Yes,
But
yes,
I
yes.
love the word from Dr. Daniel that said, that there's an intentional partnership as part of the definition of engagement. And like you said, John Bosco, many people who are outside that traditional definition, even the extended definition of youth, have a lot to bring to the table, but there has to be an intention to be willing to engage, and to be part of the sharing of experience, both perspective and experience that has come from the years in life, in the workplace, in solving problems, in managing issues, in managing companies, in managing processes. So there's probably some work that could be done to engage adults to be more involved in training and taking an active part in ensuring that the youth, as they come up through life, have the skills. So that's just another piece.
Thank you, Pete, for that addition. This year's International Youth Day, the theme is Youth Engagement for Global Action. And the theme of International Youth Day, Youth Engagement for Global Action, it seeks to highlight the ways in which the engagement of young people at the local, national, and global levels, how it's enriching national multilateral institutions and processes, as well as it's aimed to draw lessons on how their representation and engagement in formal institutional politics, can be significantly enhanced. So here, multilateral institutions are also in the picture of what we are looking at a lot of people are giving up, especially the youth, because after spending years in the university and then you have your certificate, you go around, there's no job. You see some of them, meddling into some, some very bad activities just in a bid to get money. Okay. So how can we, involve the multilateral institutions, education centers, and all these various sectors where the human mind is shaped? How can we involve them in this campaign for youth development? I would like Joseph to help us. Sorry, I would like Gail to help us throw more light on how these institutions can help, because as corporate bodies, they know, they know one or two things, they have some resources, there's a way they can help. Please, Gail, help us, direct this.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, John Bosco. John Bosco?
Yeah, so what he was saying, Gil, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So John Bosco is asking, in light of the fact that the intentional partnership between youths and stakeholders are important, one other thing that often gives the young man or the youth some problem is engaging multilateral corporations. In your own experience, what ways or how can this young man who has left university or who seems to be hopeless, how can he engage this multilateral organization to bring forward, that that agenda of creating sustainability? And then please, John Bosco, let Elder Joseph make some intervention, and then Ambassador Sylvester follow after suit, and then Francis say something, and then any other person. Go ahead. Go ahead, Gil.
Okay. I can only speak to our experiences here in the Bahamas, and
yes, please.
I've been very lucky in that I've been able to see some young people making a way for themselves. In January of last year, our government enacted and facilitated a 14-week beekeeping class, and it was only open to I think 18 to 35-year-olds. And so that group of people, they spent 14 days, 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. They got a small stipend, and then they were taught by people from universities from away, and then we had local people. They were taught all sorts of things. They were taught how to create a cooperative. So they were taught how to do everything to do with beehives and the health of the bees and how you market your honey, all of those things. And I've been able to watch those youth actually come together, and they've created their own cooperative. They've been assisted by government. We have a cooperative department of the Ministry of Agriculture, and now they're being assisted trying to get funding in order for each of them to get their own beehive company going. And some of them are going towards making products for cosmetics. Some of them are going towards making honey for sale. Some of them are looking towards international marketing. And so in seeing and being able to watch that happen, it's very gratifying to see that the youth are taking advantage of the programs that our government is trying to offer, because our government is able to get funding from places like the UN and international funding from the development banks and the Inter-American Development Banks, and even the International Monetary Fund, and also the Global Environment Facility. So in trying to empower the youth to go ahead and grab and try and get as much of this funding so that they can make their own businesses, so that they can become self-sufficient so they can make our country a sustainable country rather than something that's just buying fossil fuels and burning fossil fuels so it makes our islands sink from sea level rise. You know, they're trying to do sustainable agriculture, and I think that's what I was trying to say at the end of my speech, was to try to empower the youth to look for those avenues, try to get the international funding, or even if there's funding within your own country, just try to get as much as you can so that you can empower yourselves and empower your friends and empower the other youth, so that you make the Bahamas and whatever country you're in a better country to live in, and so that it's more sustainable and a healthy place and a thriving place, so that you'll want to raise your family there. You want to stay there. It's not going to be a place you want to run away from as a climate change refugee. So it's really up to the youth to check into the advantages. All you have to do is go on Google and type in granting opportunities. All sorts of things will pop up. And if you pursue them, if you don't know how to write a grant, find out someone who can teach you how. It's really up to you with the internet and computers and everything. There's virtually nothing you can't do.
Yes, thank you so much, and you're right. Elder Joseph, over to you. Just give us in a few minutes your contribution or your intervention, and focus more on your experience as an elderly person and where you see us going in the future. Thank you, sir.
It's me, Joseph, who's speaking.
Yes, you, sir. Joseph
Okay,
David.
thank you very much. Well, congratulations to everyone, in particular my colleague Gail. You know, I worked with her for many years in the environment. So she was the one I actually started out with Save the Bays, to educational program for young people in the Bahamas. Very succinctly, let me say to you that 90% or more of young people in the Bahamas, and this is probably propagated throughout the third world, 90% of young people between the age of 18 and 25 or 30 do not own any part of their country.
You are right.
They're totally reliant upon extended family, or they rent. They own nothing. And this is reprehensible, particularly in a place like the Bahamas, where we own a plethora of what we call crown land, which actually is the Queen's land. But over the years, it's all been taken up by the oligarchy of the country, the most precious parts of the country, and the poor people are left with what is basically at sea level, which we're going to lose another 80% of that in the next 35 or 40 years. And so what I would like to impress upon the United Nations is to impress upon all of the nations to make sure that the young people own something in their country. We have enough what we call crown land, which is distributed by whatever government is in power. We have enough to give every single Bahamian man or woman at the age of 18 at least 1 acre of crown land, at least 25 to 30 feet above sea level, so that come climate change, sea level rise, which we experienced dramatically here, as Gail pointed out, that we will be able to survive in the future. We need to, for the major countries of the world who have created this dismal situation for third world countries, to make sure that they put out the necessary funding to do this, and to put it in the hands of NGOs, not governments, because governments somehow the monies disappear. We have critical, sensible, wise NGOs in the country like the Bahamas, I'm sure throughout, who can probably organize this money, even working along with the partnership with the government to make sure that it's distributed for the young people. We have nothing to pass on to them. 99% of the wealth of this country, our Bahamas, is owned by less than 1% of the population. And that is owned by mostly the oligarchy, who first achieved all of their riches on the backs of poor whites and black people. And now the black people and the poor whites, they are suffering. We have 30% who are living below poverty level. So these are the things that I think internationally it should be known about our countries. And because we have what the GDP is a mistake. They calculate the Bahamas do not need help because we make too much money, but yet we have 39%. We probably make that money, but it's in banks abroad. It's in our national bank. It's over $5 billion that have been earned on the backs of poor people, and this has to stop. Has to stop, and particularly with respect to climate change and the dramatic hurricanes that are coming, like we had with Dorian and now with COVID-19. God only knows what will happen. Let me just put this again. We have 6,000 young people who are leaving high school this year. And because of COVID-19, they cannot travel abroad to go to universities. And so what's going to happen to all these young people? We are setting them up to be pariahs on society. And we've got to get over this foolishness. We got to dictate that if any money is being governed by the IMO or any institution abroad to a country, they must dictate that so much of that programs, and to make sure that the youth of the country has ownership in this country and other countries around the world.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Elder Joseph. And I've taken note of some of the things you've said, because it's also part of what we're going to discuss with the UN. And you've raised a very important thing: generational transfer of wealth. It doesn't make sense that the last 70 years, young people in the last 70 years lived better life than young people currently here, just because they are not empowered, just because they were not adequately planned for. Because intentionally transferring wealth to a generation is planned. You don't just say, I just want to give. It's different from inheritance. It's different from inheritance. And I love the way you are going about it, that we should make it a national mandate on the global level space, that every national election leader, any person that is leading, show us the plan of how you intend to transfer wealth to some percentage of people, and then hope that those percentage of people sustain that mantra across board, while we'll encourage parents and wealthy people to also continue to give their inheritance to their young people, advising them on proper investments in moving forward. I think this is a discussion that the UN needs to hear from you, and these are why the wisdoms of the elders are very important. I don't know why I've never thought of it. I've heard of the concept of wealth transfer in Africa. Yes, they've been saying it in Zimbabwe, they've been saying it in Zambia, but the way you have ironed it out is very simple. There should be a national policy, and there should be an intentional policy that agencies now need to follow across board to transfer wealth, either in form of land, in form of cash, like Gail has said, incentive giving to people to start to understudy a startup project. Those are ways to transfer wealth. Wealth is not just monetization. Knowledge, skills are also part of the things to empower people, especially when you prepare them for the job of the future. You know, I totally agree with you. And then I want Miss Francis to make our intervention in 2 minutes, and then we have a question for Peace Light, and we want Ambassador Sylvester to be preparing afterward. Then we will round up with our senior lecturer, Dr. Michael, to give us the next round of questions that I have for him. Over to you, Miss Francis.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my network has been, acting up. So to contribute to what, everyone has been saying, I would like to say we need a platform to create a platform or platforms that actually work or that are proactive, where young talents can be harnessed, mentored, and encouraged. I believe this will help give young graduates, hope, promote peace, and also point them in the right direction. Because the truth is that the young people in developing countries, especially countries like Nigeria, where I come from, have lost trust and hope in the system. Yeah. They in fact believe that there is no system in the first place. So to win this trust back, I believe one of the things that can be done is for the government, or let me say the stakeholders, to partner more and also create room for organizations, NGOs, especially those that are run by younger people, by the youth, to come in and partner with and interact with these young people, because they are young people, they understand each other better. They will know, what angle to come in. They will understand what the problems or issues are. Why? Because they're of the same generation. So if the government can create this platform where they can come in, interact with the young people, understand them, and then provide solutions, sustainable solutions that actually work. It's not just to talk and talk and talk. No, the younger generation, we want to come in, we want to work, as a mother, I see my children. What am I going to leave for them tomorrow? I know what I'm going through now with what is happening in the, country and all that. And, internationally, we don't want our children to experience what we've experienced. So they need to create that platform. They need to allow us to be heard. They need to listen, to our needs, and let us come in and handle these things ourselves. It shouldn't be business as usual anymore, where the old people will stick there. They don't want to, give room. I had an experience where one of them actually said that the younger generation don't care. No, we care. We do care about what is going on, but giving us that chance to come in and do what we need to do, what needs to be done, what they have failed to do, is going to be, a positive step towards achieving, peace and prosperity, creating jobs, bringing back the lost hope, to ensure that these young people are happy again. Because without peace, like Dr. Daniel mentioned earlier, without peace, we're going to just be creating or paving way for catastrophe to come in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Francis, for really creating a different perspective that I also share with you. And her perspective is very important, and is also in keeping with what Elder Joseph has said. See, the talking is too much. We already know where the problems are. The challenge we have now is that national leaders must create hubs or platforms. By hubs, what she's saying is that there are smart people that are very innovative. Cluster them up in one place and tell them your priorities. Okay, all of you here, we want new classroom. We want new digital platforms for our educational stuff. We want a new airport. We want new planes. We want new cars. Create this hub and fund or incentivize, give incentives to those funds, and work with people that are sincere, representatives of the people that are sincere, not giving to your cronies, not having a contract signed at the back door and then indebtedness later. I totally agree with Francis, and these are some of the reasons why we need to have this discussion, not only on this scale. I know many people are sending questions on Facebook, for Francis. Let me just tell you one of the things Francis, they say, please, thank you so much. I'm a young girl and I'm 21 years old. I left the university in 2016. And what Ms. Francis is saying is very important, that they are not giving us even platform. You need to know people for you to even get anywhere. And sometimes it requires even more than just greeting them. Sometimes your body will be on the line. So I agree with what Francis is saying, that government now must again intentionally create hubs. These hubs now need to be backed by law. These hubs need to be funded in the budget. These hubs of young, smart people who are addressing thousands of other issues, who are working with also CSOs, need to be on that hub space. Now, conditions and criteria will be given to them for them to move forward. I want Ambassador Sylvester to make his intervention in 2 or 3 minutes while I ask Peace Light to stand by for some questions on how do they contact you and why do you think peace education should be on the curriculum for African people. Ambassador Sylvester, over to you, sir.
Okay. So, like I said, thanks ever so much, Dr. Daniel. Let me say greetings from Liberia, specifically from the members of Peace Campaign Liberia, Director John Bosco. Thank you so much, and let me say thanks to everyone. Okay, I listened to all the speakers, and then they actually said it well. But I just want to say something to all of us as youth globally. You know, I want to speak from this perspective of from African leaders or African politicians. But before I do that, let me quickly quote that Miles Maru, the late. He was one of the professional and recognized venture international motivational speakers for Bahamas. You know, in one of the audios, he said, if you want to be successful in life, don't wait for success, but make sure you be valuable. In other words, make yourself valued, and then people respect you. So now, from what I've actually grabbed from the late motivational speaker, if you look in the continent of Africa and perhaps in other continents, specifically in Africa, most of us, the youth, they don't value themselves. I listen to speakers saying the government, the government, the government. We make the government. If you look in Africa, our leaders, about 60% the youth put them in charge. So in this case, when the youth recognize their importance, when the youth recognize who they are, and they know that yes, indeed, they have ability, they have skills in them, and those skills that they have in them, they're being denied for those that they put in charge to afford them opportunities. They have to come to their senses. That is, they should value themselves. One of the things I was saying in Africa is that you realize that many of the youth, they put leaders in offices or in power because of peanuts, because of what they can have for today, but they don't value that tomorrow. That actually happens in most countries in Africa, and that is wrong. That is why people who are expected to make good policy on behalf of youth and also the countries, they are not making good policies. For example, you realize that a politician will come in your community to give good talks to youth that when I get there, I will do this, I will do that. And you realize that the youth will be fighting for that leader to get in power or get in that office. After few months, you realize that that leader will fail. So now, why can't youth come to their senses and see how best to me recognize their importance? How can they recognize their importance? One, we have been putting in power our leaders who have failed over time. I'm speaking from the perspective of Africa. So we have learned a lot of lessons. I think it's about time we deny people that lies to all of the time by putting them in power. It's about time we surely accept. Again, it's about time we surely accept, peanut money. That is, someone just gave you money for, today's benefit or for today's breadfruit. No, we should make sure to value our future. Before putting a leader into office or into power, that leader be able to come to the youth that there is the infrastructure for vocational training or for the school that I'm preparing for this for youth, or there is a scholarship that I have for the youth. I'm making sure that youth go in or on the scholarship as the leader vying for that position before putting them in power. But we realize that nowadays, most of the youth, they allow leaders to use them. In fact, most of the leaders, they use the youth to get what they want, and at the end, they dash them. I think it's about time, globally, specifically, from in Africa, we come to our senses, making sure to recognize our importance. If and only if, like the definition that I heard from Dr. Daniel and also Michael, that youth engagement has to do with involvement, making decisions.
Go turn on that
Nowadays,
water. Behave yourself.
are we seeing, participating in national policy making or in national decision making? There are very few. How many youth are we seeing, working in government or have been afforded the opportunity to work in government? Very few. But you realize that they will blame the youth. So,
yeah,
in this light, I think it's about time as youth come to our senses, we recognize our importance before putting in our leaders in office. We must make sure that our leader, exhibit his or achievement and making sure to give opportunities. I'm not just talking about words, opportunity, but tangible opportunities that will make sure that youth can stand on in order to benefit tomorrow and contribute to the growth and development for every community in your country or in your continent. But
yes, thank you so much, Ambassador Sylvester.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sorry, yeah. Thank you so much, Ambassador Sylvester from Liberia. And I must really appreciate you. I like how you are speaking truth to power. You're also aware that I have a direct link with your government in Liberia, specifically the Ministry of Youth. And you're aware that I know directly Junior Minister Junior Minister Johnson Moba, and then the current Minister for Youth. And I know that they are doing their own little bit. But I agree with you that it's not just about the government, that the youths themselves must know their value in place. And one of the ways to know their value is for government to ensure that there are youth capacity building programs so that they can increase their competence. Don't forget, this thing is about being articulate, being able to say, this is my problem, this is my challenge. You'd be surprised, some of the protests you see is because they don't know how to voice, they don't know how to write grants, they don't know how to write petition, they don't know what the process and step is. So we need to build some youths that will have that competency, some youth that will have the confidence to speak truth to power, some youth that will be caring and compassionate for others, some youth that will be very innovative. So I agree with you that youth first must at least value yourself first, and then start to organize yourself together, to now have a universal purpose, Thank you so much. And I'm promising you that I events to work with you. And I think this is a wonderful way. I think what I'm hearing from you is a solid understanding that I share generally, and I will voice any day, to any government. So thank you for that. And please keep in touch with me and John Bosco so that we can move forward. The next question is for Peace Light. Pete, there's a question for you. Please ask Pete that what happens when all peaceful negotiation fails? In the event that these negotiations do not go forward to create peace, what can people do? That's the situation we are having in many of the African countries, like in Congo. This is Dama. So Dama in Congo, let me put the question to you. Dama is saying this, that he believes in what you are saying about peace as the framework and the foundation upon which every other thing is gained. He understands fully well that people need to internalize, people need to slow down and reset. In the bit that everybody has done this, and yet the aggressor still continues, or you still continue to see these conflicts in place. Is there any other thing outside all you said that can be done? Or what do you think in your own experience should a young African who is facing a dictator, what should we do? Or what should the international organization do? Or what can your organization do? Go ahead. While Dr. Michael prepares for the next question. And then Ms. Francis concludes the section. And then Jasmine summarize for us. Go ahead.
Dama, thank you for the question. It's very similar to a question I got a few weeks ago from a Nigerian group who were talking about some of the cultural, ethnic, and religious violence up in northern Nigeria. And it's a tough situation, but the most important thing is you cannot give up, okay? There is no giving up because there is no alternative, okay? So one of the tools that always comes into play in these sorts of situations is adjusting the identification of the parties. So if there are conflicts, there are certainly different levels of personal identification, and it comes down to a lot of times self-awareness. That you know, one group identifies as a particular religion and another group as another religion, or an ethnicity, or a tribe, or whatever it might be. But the importance of individually having these people who are in conflict identify as a human, and identify as a Congolese, identify as an African, becomes paramount. Now, you know, it's a tough thing to get into those organizations sometimes and shift, because you're not welcome, because there's power in the identity of a religion, there's power in the identity of an ethnicity, but that cannot be stopped. Those attempts cannot be stopped. And it has to be done peacefully, but aggressively peacefully. Now, I believe personally that education is a key part of this. I mean, these problems go back to 1884, the Berlin Conference. They were put in place specifically to make it hard for you to do what you're trying to do right now. And that has to be recognized. And the way that is going to be Africa's renaissance out of these situations is going to be when the children grow up with the skills and the education and the awareness of not only that fact, but the skills to be able to negotiate and to just see that there are ways around issues. And especially with what's coming down the road for you all as youth. You know, the environment's not going to get any better in the short term here. You know, there's going to be more migration, as we're hearing a lot of, you know, sea levels rise. And those issues are going to become more and more forefront. But the more that there could be a standardized understanding inculcated into African society, and it's called for in Agenda 2063, a culture of peace and tolerance shall be nurtured in Africa's children and youth through peace education. There is no efforts to formalize the curriculum across 55 nations right now. So that's where I see the organization Project Peace Lights coming in to not do it. I mean, I'm a guy from New Jersey. I'm not, this has to be done by Africans for Africa, but as they do with many boards around the world, often a pursuit, because there's a fresh perspective. There's an ability to cut through a lot of the inherent thinking and challenges that have come. And I look at myself as a facilitator, and all I am doing is trying to help facilitate the acceleration of the timeline where peace education curriculum can be defined, developed, and then rolled out in the whole country. So I wish you all the best, Dama. And you know, it's a challenge. One of the things that you should know, it is not just a challenge in Congo. So I would ask you and suggest to you that there are others who could also provide insight. So don't give up, look for those avenues, and keep the focus on educating not only yourselves with the skills that you'll need to address these issues, but also get that education starting right from the youngest of ages. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pete, for conceptualizing that question. And I love something about you. You always say it as it is. You know, it's a tough question and it's a tough discussion, because what is happening in Congo is happening to some lesser degree in Nigeria, in Mali, in Zimbabwe, in some parts of South Africa, in Ethiopia, in Egypt. You know, it is true. And I like the way you summarized it. You start with this. Try at least to start off with peace. Try and see whether you can get into the system. Try and see whether you can befriend your aggressor, because that's what you're saying. Try and incorporate yourself into the system. If that doesn't work, try and see whether you can work with other people to educate them on the need to see reason for peace. Because whether we like it or not, education will still be key. But more importantly, emotionally, never give up when you see hurdles before you that are great. And I want to give a testimony to what you've just said. In 2019, June to be precise, the UN Office of Out of Space Affairs, they are the agency in the UN responsible for anything in space, any projection in space or any launch in space. you have to submit you have to submit a report or a data with them. They track them. So they wanted to bring in sustainable development goals in their agenda. Then they did a competition and they asked that they want young people to be able to tell them how space-based technology or space-based policies can drive and achieve sustainable development goals. Now, I happen to be in the area of SDG 13, you know, and I said to myself, I just finished my fellowship at the Cornell University, and they had impacted on us very wonderful strategies, policies that academic people use in changing minds. And then I did some research work, and I found out that we could actually use space-based technology to drive and monitor what's happening on land, and to give farmers in Africa or in vulnerable community heads up on when the rain will come, amount of rain to expect, amount of heat, types of crop to do. Because satellite-based technology is not affected by atmospheric variables. You do know there are no rain, you know, you do know there are no hurricane in space, you know, but land-based technology can fail when there are flooding, just like in Bahamas. Once there is flooding, all the power lights are off. Technology becomes difficult. So I felt, why not use that space? And I and my team of 3 young, wonderful girls, my wife inclusive, and somebody in Europe, we designed the concept. I presented it to them. And then the US department, Pompey, and then the International Astronautical Federation sent me an email, young man, who are you? I said, I'm just medical personnel. I run a non-profit. They say, you are not even a space-based person. I said, yes. What did you do differently? I said, I studied. Education is key. Education opens you the door. And when you think out of the box, you'll be able to create stuff. We were actually sponsored to Washington, D.C., where I met Mike Pence. I went to the White House. You know, it was also connected to the 50th year landing of Armstrong. You know, that 2019 was 50 years that US had entered into space. I met with the NASA director, and currently we are working with a department of NASA to develop this concept. My point is this, to our viewers listening to Facebook: I'm an African. I know nothing about space. Yes, I am science inclined. Yes, I read very well. Yes, I'm a scholar. Yes, I run an organization, but I still needed to think out of the box. I needed to use innovative thinking to address local issues in my area. I know that in Africa, if they're able to predict how weather patterns are taking place, they'll be able to plan farming system better. If they're able to know the intensity of temperature for the day, you'll be able to advise people to stay away from, you know, exposure to sunlight. If you're able to know where animals are having stress from satellite guided image, you'll be able to, if you're able to have a climate Wikipedia-like app, an app that can tell you, you know, information in real time, to be key. And I never gave up. You know, I was able to enter the UN space, reach out to 2 people, share my ideas with them, and somebody just said, young man, I love what you're doing. And we won. And we were sponsored to Washington. You know, we were giving some grants and all those stuff. And I was even invited to the UN General Assembly. So I am supporting what you're saying, that to the Congo lady, please do not give up. You must try and see whether you can still break into your aggressors. You must get education and look for where the major challenge is. You must try to see how you can create homegrown solutions to some problems. And then more importantly, you must ensure as much as possible that you never give up. Thank you so much, Pete. Dr. Michael, I have a question for you. Then I'll allow Jasmine to say. But before then, John Bosco, you have a question that has been waiting, but because you were offline and you are back on. Please ask John Bosco this. My name is Edafe. I'm in northern part of Nigeria. How can we ensure that Peace Campaign, your organization that you are doing, will reach out to those of us in the northern space? And I think what he's trying to say is that he's a Nigerian, that he's currently staying in the north, and maybe there are some issues or conflicts currently going on. How can your organization, Peace Campaign, be able to help them in the North spread the message of peace, sustainable development. Over to you, Sir John Bosco.
Thank you so much, Dr. Daniel. This question is a very important question because Nigeria is undergoing a lot of changes right now. Changes in the sense that people are becoming more aware, and things are not in sync between the citizens and the government. So a lot of people are being more aggressive, and the security situation is getting worse. So about what we can do to help the situation, I will start by reminding us that especially for this pandemic period, people have come to learn that it is no longer the government thing. It's also now time for individuals to go individually, collectively, as organizations, to put things in order, no longer waiting for the government. So this organization, Peace Campaign Nigeria, what we are doing is trying to bring people together, especially the youth. And by the youth, we are not looking at those who are categorized by age. We are looking at those who are willing to make Nigeria a better place. So we are trying to bring people together, and that includes you in the north, those in the west, south, and those in the east. We come together, not going for a revolution, something that is violent, but we will come together. We share ideas on how we can be innovative. By innovation, we can get to do things that will help us individually and keep us busy. Because one of the causes of unrest, one of the causes of security, all these security challenges is people do not have this self-sufficiency. People are always in lack. And when someone is in lack, what do you expect the person to do? The person goes out of his way to do whatever he can, and at some point the person loses all moral values. He's trying to get it at all costs. So when someone is going out of the norm to get something at all costs, there is a security problem. So we can decide among ourselves to begin to change our mindset as youth. And that is why this organization has come to stay. So we can help you, put you on track on how you can be self-sufficient, how you can acquire some necessary skills that can help you survive this change that places like Nigeria is going through now. Okay, there's a program. I had an opportunity to join with the Miss Earth New York a few weeks back, a program on recycling and upcycling. You see, this program is not rocket science, just about how to take what's around you and convert it to something else that is meaningful. But you see, from that program, I got to learn that the major challenges of us, especially the youth, is looking for things where they are not. You understand? So from that upcycling, which I would introduce to the larger populace of Nigeria, it's a bright idea. I learned that while you are looking for those things that are in marbles, you can also get clay and turn it to your own marble. And when that marble becomes so beautiful, you will see people leaving the regular marble and coming to join you in the clay mold. Okay? Then as well, I want to encourage you and every other youth that is listening. This is a time of connecting and reconnecting. The world has offered us a very powerful platform, the internet. So if you are not connecting these days, you are missing out on a lot of things, because that thing you've been thinking about, you've been worried about how you can achieve it. By some small connections, you might meet the right person that will put you on track, that will sponsor the project, okay? But that can just, take you to your destiny land. And by doing some researches, I believe Nigerian youth will leave all these political affiliations. In Nigeria, is very bad because politicians during the election, they hired the youth as talks, okay? And after the election, they dump the youth. And when you've given a young boy an arm, to fight for you, to help you grab power, and then you get into power and you abandon this young boy, what do you expect him to do? He still has the arms in his hand, right? He's going to use it oftentimes the wrong way because he's not a police officer. He's going to use it to kill, to steal, to terrorize people. And that's why we have lots of terrorism in Nigeria. So what we are doing as an organization is bringing people like you and I together, encouraging and educating and also informing ourselves so that we can stay away from all this political rigmaroling and then put our eyes on the brighter future. Because if you ask me, the past generation has a lot of apology for the current generation. But it makes no sense if we demand an apology and in the end we do not have something tangible to leave for the upcoming generation. Okay, so rather than seeking the apology right now, I think I have to go by the words of the Bible that said we should remove the big plank in our eyes before asking someone to remove the pieces of wood. So let us right our wrong, forget about all these social media, funny things you see. People are just seeking for attention and they are doing it the wrong way. Leave all these celebrities, they have made their money, right? It's time for you to bring out one initiative, something that is innovative, something that will make you a celebrity too. So rather than keep celebrating other people, which is also good, you also get celebrated in turn. So I look forward to connecting with you. You can send a message to our Facebook group. I would, get in touch with you so that you can join us. You can see what we are doing. And you also need to be an ambassador where you are, because what you say may not have a lasting impression, but what you do, people see. Whether you are aware or not, what you do, people see them. And what they see, they will always remember. So thank you for this opportunity. And like I said, I look forward to connecting with you. Thank you, Dr. Daniel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Don Bosco, for your wisdom. I've heard a lot of proverbs that I have not heard for a very long time. And every word you said, you understand, resonates with me I don't know for other people as an African, resonates with me, that the conflicts we are seeing in some of African countries are just sad and unfortunate. However, there is still hope for people, and there are things that people need to do requiring us, following the basic principles of peace. First, as much as possible, start to remove the speck in your own eyes. Start to ensure that from time to time, you are not being used to do something wrong. Speak up for the truth, and thank you. And please, please, let's send the link for the organization Peace Campaign Nigeria or Peace Campaign International so that he can also get in touch. As we round up and we conclude, I will want Ms. Francis, says she has a 2-minute intervention. Then I want Dr. Mike to follow suit after her. Then I want Jasmine to give us some heads up on what Team 54 Project, which is one of the partnering organizations for this event, is doing. And then Gail will give her passing note, and then I will hand over to John Bosco to give the closing remark. So Ms. Francis, in 2 minutes, make your concluding intervention for us. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you. Sorry, it's mute. You are mute, ma'am. It's mute. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So I was saying, just to add a little bit to what we've been talking about, I would just want to mention a few things. Okay, so first of all, to the politicians, I would say, okay, sorry about that. So I would say, politicians, okay, you loot the money and then you put the money. And then you put the money. I'm so sorry about this.
No problem.
So
Today's
again,
International Youth Day.
to
They
the
still fall into
politicians, I will
that
say,
category. No problem. Just go ahead in a few minutes so that you can attend. Mine
yeah.
have been.
So you loot the money and then you put. Okay, yeah. So you loot the money, and then what do you do with the money? Instead of investing it, and also which can help create job opportunities, and or even a platform where these young voices can be heard and seen and harnessed. You just don't go loot the money, because at the end of the day, you loot it and you put it away in a room or somewhere, and then you're not investing it and you're just spending it. It doesn't make sense at all. Why not invest it at least? Use it to jobs, which will provide which will promote peace. And then also you want these younger ones that get into internet fraud and all that, when they are caught, and the system, they end up blaming the government. And then when you turn around and you look, you see that yes, they're making sense, even though that is not a reason for them to continue to do what they're doing. And like the ambassador from Liberia was saying, the youth, they need to believe in themselves. Stop taking peanuts. It's not going to help anyway. Because the day you take those peanuts, during election, and then 2 months down the road, what happens? You're back at square one. It doesn't help you. We need to believe in ourselves as young people. All the dancing, enough of the dancing and all the, I don't know what to call it on social media.
Yeah.
It's not even sustainable. Okay, you dance and dance and dance, and then what are you leaving for your child tomorrow? Nothing. Your child is gonna come up tomorrow and you tell your child to go on dancing. It doesn't help. So we as young people need to get serious. It's high time we stop all of that and get serious. We shouldn't have any excuses anymore. And as part of seeing that this issue is mitigated, BioEscape International, we're planning on launching a platform soon, where young talents can be harnessed. Yeah, so we're doing that to encourage the youth. You have no excuse. There is absolutely no excuse. And also to encourage other people or organizations that are in a position to create such platforms. They can also go ahead and do the same, because it is going to take all of us, a collective effort, to see that these things are stopped, to see that these issues are taken care of.
Yeah.
So I'm asking that they, keep in touch. We are on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Soon we're going to be launching our website. Just stay in touch at BioEscape International. That is our Instagram handle. Stay in touch so that when this platform is out there, you can get involved. You register, you get people to get to register as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Francis. And I know that John Bosco is going to be very, very happy, and he'll be taking you up on that. Please, John Bosco, see to it that you go to BioEscape. They are based in the US, and she's the brainchild behind that. And she also focuses on women empowerment more, but more on intergeneration. I want to call on one of the Cornell University fellows, someone I respect so much from my own homeland. I speak other languages apart from my native language. So Egbomi, Egbomi means he's my senior or my senior brother. Another brother. One thing that makes me respect Michael, Dr. Michael, is this. He has a grasp of what the situation is, and is always open to new ideas on how to make things better. So the question I want to put for him, from my own view as a Nigerian, is for you to, where did we get it wrong in West Africa or in Nigeria? Where did we get it wrong? And in moving forward, what do you think we can do to be on the path? We may not get everything, but what can we do from your own experience? Over to you. Once he's done with it, Jasmine, you'll be on standby. Gail will give her concluding remark. Jasmine's rounds up, and then we'll hand over. Over to you, Dr. Ove.
Thank you so very much, Daniel. Daniel has been something else. Yeah. Where did we get it wrong? From my experience in West Africa, we got it wrong through the influence and intervention of the military. That's where we got it very, very wrong. But prior to that, we also got it wrong when our civilian leaders did not have the appropriate vision to move the nation forward. We had good money in our hands. We had wealth in our hands in the 70s, but there was no wisdom, there was no vision. That was the prior or the beginning of where we got it wrong. By the time the civilians had wealth without vision, the military came in to tell them that they were not wise. So the military took over. When the military took over, rather than applying the wisdom, they went haywire and Nigeria began to nosedive. I was privileged to experience that throughout my life. In the 70s, if I walked through Lagos Island, I wrote it in the book we authored, the fresh air that we experience in the morning after the 90s, it's a wow. But today it's a different thing. The respect we have for our national anthem and pledge in those days was totally different. Totally different. My wife, who was in another community, I was a different community. By the time we met and we were sharing experience, she was telling me where she was, that where they were in a secondary school, far in Ikeja, there is always a good pimples. When she traveled to her state for high school, there was also a good pimples when the national anthem and the pledge was being read, not by high low, but many of our colleagues, because it was a hard commitment to your nation. The whole of your heart is to your nation. But today, when my children are singing national anthem, oh my goodness, it's a totally different ball game. You also say it so that the teacher will say, okay, you can go to your class. There is no hard commitment. You understand? This is where we have gotten it wrong. So the children of today, some young boys, I won't call them, they are men, they are in their late 20s, sorry. They came to see my daughter in the house. And I saw the way they were dressed and all that. You know, my daughter is in mass communication. And I said, Busola, at this year, I said, he gave me some signal because the way they were dressed, you know, he said that they are customers. I understand what he was trying to say. So I spoke to one of them. So why are you to music? He said, Daddy, this country has no vision for us. And he opened, I felt like weeping. And he was right. He was right. The truth is the vision that most leaders in Nigeria have for our youth is, I call it 19th century cosmetics. Just me, how will you feel if I buy you a cosmetics that was designed in 1900 as a gift for a birthday? How would you feel?
It's not going to be good.
Exactly. Just say, if you struggle to collect it from my hand, you want to keep it in your museum in your house and put my name on it for your children to see what this old man brought. That's what I'm trying to say. In the educational system, it's a 19th century cosmetic. What they will tell us publicly, what they want to do, is always 19th century. So that's a major problem. That's where we're getting it wrong. How do we solve this problem? One of the things we should do is to put what I call peaceful pressure on our leaders. Peaceful pressure. Peaceful pressure. Just like you tell me, Daddy, I'm not going to eat this food, it is poisonous. I say, if you don't eat it, I will kill you. Say, I'm sorry, Daddy. Please, Daddy, I'm not going to eat this food. Let's put peaceful pressure on our politicians. Number two, our religious leaders. I'll just mention those 2 points.
Yeah.
Daniel, you will recall that when we were doing our discussion in Cornell, we raised this matter.
Yes.
If you look at the population of Nigeria and West Africa generally, the religious leaders have a stronghold in the thinking pattern of our people.
That's true.
A lot. And this salvation or deliverance or freedom from poverty, freedom from illiteracy, begins in the mind. If the mind is not liberated, our youth will not think right. They will think of buying a $50 jeans before buying a $5 book to read. Difference in value, misplace of value. So I want to suggest that if we can get through to our religious leaders in this country to help reorientate the minds of our youth to education, to training, acquiring knowledge, acquiring skills, for the 21st century, things will begin to change from the grassroots. That's where the pressure will begin. That's where the pressure will begin. Let me give you an instance. A friend to my daughter had a challenge with the bank. He transferred some money and they did not send the money to that person. He also used a POS machine to move money and nothing happened. And he went to the bank. They told him that, don't worry, in 24 hours we'll get it done. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week has passed, nothing happened. You know what he did? He went on social media, straight to Twitter, and he began to explain what happened, and people were making contributions. I tell you, after about 1 hour, the Twitter was awash with the problem of that bank. And you know what that means for the bank? He said within 1 hour, they reversed the money. That was pressure, but it was a peaceful pressure.
Yeah.
We can do the same with our religious leaders. Let our religious leaders begin to change the mind of our people and orientate their mind. I'm telling you, a lot of things will happen. Things will change. Even in the north, these children that we are saying they are poor, 20 years, 30 years, they are 30, 40, and they are there in their hundreds of thousands. I served in Kano, and I had food in my hand. And I turned back with my hand on the other side, and I was talking to somebody, and the food was gone. You eat, and you left your food on the table, and flies are all over your food. Say, oh, I can't eat this food. Before you come, people have packed it, and they are eating. And you are almost weeping. Now, after 20 years, what is the fate of these children? They can be hired by any terrorist organization. And that's what we are having in the North today. One of our politicians in the 80s said, the youth in the North is a time bomb, and today they are exploding. Awolowo said so. Wanted to bring a new form of education. Now the bomb is exploding. The minds are blowing up. So our religious leaders have been able to reorientate the minds of these children. A lot of things will have been done. I think those are the things I want to share. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that wisdom and the strategy of using peaceful pressure for our leaders. I've not heard that concept before, and it's in keeping with our team today. I think these are kinds of leaders, people like you are what I think the UN should be listening to. Peaceful pressure is important in getting things done. Then looking for local made solutions is global agenda, but the action will be done locally. And in Africa, like you said, religious people play a very important role in over 1.5 million lives. You understand? So we must also educate them so that that misplaced values, a value where a 23-year-old boy who doesn't have a house of himself is wearing a chain necklace that is 7 million, is buying a car of 27 million with no roads, no water, instead of studying and reading like those in China, in Japan, who are creating the jobs of the future. Yeah, and I agree with what Miss Francis is saying. The time for dancing for Africans, maybe for Americans and for advanced nations, but for Africans, those times of dancing are all over, because people in Asia are already studying hard. They already know your language. They know where your challenges are. They are not dancing. You understand? You are buying all their products and they are watching you dance away your future. It doesn't make sense. Miss Francis is right. For Africans, any African that is hearing this, those eras of dancing are wrong. Don't get me wrong. For those that want to follow that passion and that career, that's fine. But you have to get organized. You have to get better digitalized. The content of what you are sending out must be rooted on values like what Dr. Michael has said. So, and for the rest of us that do not have that talent to dance, we should start thinking of how we will address education. We should start thinking of how we can convert textbooks into digital platform. We should be thinking of how we can secure ourselves designing apps that can trace hoodlums, that rape people, that molest people, that steal other people. You know, we should be thinking of other things. So thank you so much for that wisdom. Gail, can you make your last passing conclusion while I hand over to Jasmine, who hands over to John Bosco. Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful anchoring this other part. Bye.
Thank you, Daniel. As always, you always say a mouthful. I just wanted to tell two short stories about when I was in my youth and when I thought I was fairly powerless. I ended up getting in my 20s. I came home and didn't have a job. I was wandering around and ended up babysitting for a friend who had just moved to Nassau. And I ended up getting caught up in this thing called longline fishing. It was a controversy that was going on. The Minister of Fisheries was trying to push for us to get like 23 boats or something. And the problem with those boats is one long line can be as long as 60 miles. And they also will have like 2 teaser lines of 4 miles each, and they have a hook every 10 feet. So they target sharks for the highly lucrative shark fin market. So in looking at that, I realized it was not going to be sustainable. So I was recruited by Sam Duncombe of Re-Earth, and we ended up forming a coalition of various environmental groups, Ocean Watch and the Bahamas National Trust, and I can't even remember all the names, but it was a big group coalition. And at one point during November, a group of tourists came, and this one particular boat that had been going around was actually bringing in the sharks, and the tourists came to dive with the sharks, but the sharks weren't there. And then the videographer saw the boat in the distance, and he actually went over to try to get video, and he almost got caught in the line and almost got killed. But that footage went on the news, and the tourists were angry. And so the people from Ocean Watch, Chris Cates, called me in Freeport. I was back home in Freeport by then. He said, "What can we do? We've been to the Ministry of Tourism, nothing's working, they're not listening to us, and now it's affecting tourism, not just fishing." So I did what I was told by Pat Bain, the head of the Hotel and Allied Caterers Workers Union, and I applied for a permit to demonstrate. So in short, we ended up demonstrating for 3 days in front of our House of Assembly. And after the end of the 3 days, I was actually handcuffed to a guy, and we had black armbands signifying the death of the ocean. And the Prime Minister came out and spoke to us, and he said, "I'm inviting you to come in. We're going to waive the rules. You're not allowed to come in t-shirts," because we all had t-shirts. "I want you to come in and witness me ban longline fishing in the country." So that's one thing. It was very empowering to be a part of that movement and to be heavily involved with it. And it actually made me feel like, okay, youth can make a difference. We can change things that are wrong. We can make our voices heard. So that's just one story. Then a little later, I was asked to speak to a civic group, and I was talking about cruise ships dumping, and I had proof and pictures, and I did a long speech about how we should up our fines for the penalties. And as I left the meeting, after getting all sorts of support from, the people in the meeting, I was driving behind someone who was in the meeting, and they threw Kentucky Fried Chicken boxes out of their window of their car in front of me. And that was a turning point for me. I decided I'm not going to talk to adults anymore. I'm only going to concentrate on youth. I'm only going to concentrate on kids, because I'm done. The adults I've given up on them. So that's my story as far as I think the youth are the answer. You have so much as potential, and it's just we're waiting to see what you're going to do with it, because I have trust in you that you're going to do the right thing. You're going to find a path to peace, and you're going to enhance our socioeconomic progress, and we're depending on you. So please call us. If you need help from me, if you need help from Daniel, if you need help from anyone on the panel, just let us know. You can reach us through Facebook and through John Bosco. So we're here for you, but you got to take over the reins because I'm getting old. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you for the wonderful advice. Dr. Daniel? Hello,
Yes.
Dr. Daniel? Yeah.
Yes.
Is someone else
Yes,
still
thank
taking
you.
questions?
Yes, the questions that we have here, we will reply them via email. I wanted Jasmine to give her intervention, and then we hand over to you. There's one question I will ask, but let Jasmine finish. I will ask the question. The question is actually directed to Gail. The question is directed to Gail on, but once she answers that question, then I'll hand over to you to take us out for the event. So Jasmine, over to you. My daughter says she's wishing also International Day. So, and she's 8 years old. So I don't know whether she falls into.
A very happy International Day to your daughter as well, Daniel. So yeah, hi guys, I'm back, and I just quickly wanted to say that it has been an amazing event so far. So much information. I got to learn so many stuff that I didn't even know about. So thanks to all of you that spoke, and what amazing questions are coming through the internet. It's just amazing how we can connect together. So I just wanted to tell you what my vision from here is for Team 54 Project International. As the executive director of Team 54 Project International, my goal right now is to promote, home-based solutions, because we cannot go out there right now given the current situations of the pandemic, and I don't want to put people out there and just risk their lives or just spread whatever is going on. So just staying at home. So we kind of looked at what is going on, how the lives of people are coming along. So what we realized is that a lot of people are not having jobs right now, and given the economic crash that we currently have, we are predicting that this might go along a little farther than just this period. So how can we better prepare people for the time being, or like for the upcoming months or even year? We don't know where this is going, right? So we decided that, Team 54 project started with the 54 nations of Africa. Of course, we are around the world right now, but we actually started with the 54 nations of Africa. So we are currently focusing to start from there, how we can have smart agriculture and what we call permaculture, and have sustainable businesses, like just something that you can grow in your backyard and then trade out there, using solar energy, clean energy, so that you are more cost efficient, and also there is zero waste coming out of whatever your activities are. So just promoting those concepts, educating the people, the youth. Actually, Team 54 project is very closely working with the youth in all these nations, the 54 nations of Africa, and I must say they're very enthusiastic, very energetic young people. I have never seen that kind of energy coming from any other nation, not even in my country, and I'm being honest right now. So I'm very excited to work with them closely, and they have great ideas. And one thing that Team 54 project has always believed in is to listen with people while engaging the youth, right? For example, I'm speaking today, and Daniel is also speaking today. We are both part of Team 54 project. He's the president and founder, and I'm the executive director. But will you believe it or not, I don't know, we did not coordinate before this event what I am going to speak about. What Daniel never puts words in my mouth. I never go and tell Daniel, okay, this is what I want you to speak. This because we both want our ideas to come out. And we know that when we have the same innate beliefs of helping people, no matter what we say, it is always about the people. It's never going to be conflicting because it is about the people, right? It's about helping everyone around us. So this is why, like, this is just an example that I just gave you, that, you know, it's very important to listen to people, no matter how close they are to you, no matter if they're a stranger to you. Like, I could say that, okay, I don't need to know what Daniel wants to speak because I know him closely. No, I didn't say that. I was intently listening to what he had to say, and I'm sure he's doing the same for me, right? So it's always you know, very important to listen to other people. This is where you get the ideas, and this is where you know where to go from here, right? How will you know what problem you have if you don't even collect data from people, right? So it's very important to listen. And one more thing that I would say regarding our vision is that I have always believed that this is something Daniel knows. I think we both share the same value, is that we have never, even though we closely work in the area of SDG 13, we have never confined ourselves to that. And we both strictly believe that, you know, if I want to address one SDG, any SDG you take from all the SDGs, you will see that they're all interrelated. You cannot solve the problem of one without solving the others, without addressing the others. So what I want, my vision for Team 54 project is that it is never going to be only a climate-based, you know, organization, even though that's our primary focus. We will always address all the other SDGs, all the other things that we need to work on, because we believe that we can never accomplish what we want to accomplish for SDG 13 if we don't acknowledge the other ones. Which is why, you know, and another thing is that, like, you know, I just before we started speaking, I just briefly shared my journey of coming here, the challenges I faced for being a woman. And forget about just women, also a woman of color, right? Coming from Bangladesh, and my parents were, you know, always very supportive and stuff, but, you know, they also were raised in that conservative situation, in that conservative, you know, environment. So they thought that, why does she need to go abroad to study? And you know, my family said that, oh, she doesn't have to study after high school. Like, some of them said primary school, but let's not get there. I pushed through it, and then I finished my high school. And what I did was that, you know, I did not tell my parents that I was applying to the United States, because I knew if I did, it would be a no. And because then my father said on my face that whatever you have to do within the country, don't think about anything else. So the moment he said that, the very same moment, I told in my head, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna find something, and I'm gonna come and tell you that I did it, and I'm going. And I did exactly that, right? And today I'm here. Okay, so thank you. So today I'm here, and my goal is that if I am facing that, I'm sure many other women around the world are facing that. And I know that all of you have a lot of potential. You have good intentions, you have good ideas, great ideas, actually, far better than I have. And I know that you can go far better than I can, because I speak to some African girls while working at Team 54 Project. And there's this girl from Uganda, and she has ideas for sustainable sanitary pads. I have never heard that in my entire life. Where did she get that idea? She doesn't even have the resources to produce that on a larger scale. I'm working closely with her to help that expand, but oh my God, where did she get that idea? But she has that idea, and I'm working with her. And there is this other girl, I think she's in Somaliland, right? Daniel, Hapun?
Yes. Yes, Somaliland.
Yeah, and you know, in her society, she's a Muslim girl, and she wears hijab, and I'm also Muslim, by the way. So she wears hijab, and you know, when she wanted to advocate for the country, for climate and for the other SDGs, she was told that, oh, you cannot do that, and she was threatened. And Daniel and I, we were actually pleading with her that don't risk your life, save your life first. We can do this later. But she was determined, and she was like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to post my picture on social media, and I'm going to tell people that I stand for this. I want to empower these women. So the point of telling all this to you is that I want my vision as the executive director for Team 54 Project International is that it is going to be a hub for all the people around the world. Doesn't matter their color, doesn't matter their gender, their age, their ethnicity, their race. I don't care, their nationality. We are all human. That's all what I believe. And we are always going to listen to everyone, what they have to say. We're going to work closely with you and see how we can provide the best for you and how we can help you go forward. So if any of you have any suggestions, any ideas, anything that you want to speak to us about, please reach out to our Facebook handle, Team 54 Project International. Join our group or reach out to me on Facebook. I would be happy to talk to you. We have Daniel here. We have John Bosco here. You have various ways of just reaching out to us. Just make that first step and we'll make it work together. Okay?
Thank you so much, Jasmine. You know, I couldn't have said it better. And let me tell our viewers, especially on social media, on Facebook, the reason why we went this far is because of all what Jasmine has said, and all-inclusive stuff. You want to tell somebody to plant the trees. The lady you are telling to plant the tree has not eaten since morning, and you tell her not to cut wood that she needs to go and prepare. It will just look like Latin for her. She will see you as her enemy. But if you now tell her that you as a young man, as an engineer, you are designing a filament thing that can help absorb solar, and in no distant time you provide her with solar stove so that she can still do that same cooking, so she doesn't need to cut down the tree. She will love you. People just need to know that you have their back first. Feed them first. When you now do that, whatever you tell them afterwards, they will all remember. You can't take from them and expect them to still call you master. They will not do that. So Jasmine, thank you so much. I'm so proud. You have grown. You have a little fan here. My daughter is waving and saying, no, 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 no. You know, that she thumbs up for you know, sticking up and saying the truth. So I'll allow my daughter. Kendi, do you still want to say something? Okay, she says she wants to say something. Okay. I'll allow her to say something.
Hi.
We are good, Kendu. How are you?
Happy International
Youth Day.
Thank you.
So do you have anything to say to Auntie Jasmine? Do you like her story about how she has gone this far?
Oh, I love it.
Thank you so much, Kendu.
How do you intend to help your friends that are your age in grade 3? How do you intend to tell your classmates about how to make the world a better place?
Well, I inspired a lot.
So in what area did she inspire you?
Everything.
Thank you so much, Kendu, for that. You can mute your mic. Thank you so much, Kendu, for that. On that note, I want to thank everyone and hand over to John Bosco. Thank you so much, John Bosco, for allowing Team 54 Project to partner with you. Yes, Pete, we will sign off with the peace light, but John Bosco, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Daniel, and the Team 54 Project International team. You've added a lot more colors to this program because, like Jasmine said, you cannot just go to the SDG and say you're picking one of them. No, it doesn't work that way, because for each one, it's directly and indirectly as well connected to the other one. But I would like to read the United Nations message for this International Youth Day so that everyone can hear. And like we know, the theme is youth engagement for global action. So the statement reads in parts. It says, as the United Nations turns 75, and with only 10 years remaining to make the 2030 agenda a reality for all, trust in public institutions is eroding. At the international level, against the backdrop of an increasingly polarized world, the international system of governance is currently undergoing a crisis of legitimacy and relevance. In particular, this crisis is rooted in the need to strengthen the capacity of the international system to act in concert and implement solutions to pressing challenges and threats. Examples include some of the world's contemporary conflicts and humanitarian emergencies, such as Syria, Myanmar, as well as global challenges such as the COVID-19 outbreak and climate change. Enabling the engagement of youth in formal political mechanisms does increase the fairness of political processes by reducing democratic deficits, contributes to better and more sustainable policies, and also has symbolic importance that can further contribute to restore trust in public institutions and especially among the youth. Moreover, the vast majority of challenges humanity currently faces, such as the COVID-19 outbreak and climate change, require concerted global action and a meaningful engagement and participation of young people to be addressed effectively. So the statement in part is also calling us to join the 31 days of youth engagement and all of that. They have this social media campaign to celebrate the young people throughout the month of August. So leading up and following International Day to help spread the word and strike up a conversation, surrounding youth engagement for global action. So in the end, it said this year's International Youth Day seeks to put the spotlight on youth engagement through the following three interconnected streams. The first one is engagement at local and community level. The next one is engagement at national level. That's formulation of laws, policy, and their implementation by the relevant authorities. And the last one, it says engagement at the global level. So this is, I had to quote them, but my primary interest that I want to bring out is this last sentence. He talked about engagement at the local and community level first, which implies that just like the popular saying, charity begins at home, we need to start from the local level. There is this mantra, Skyly Lotz in the Miss Earth, New York, she brought it up. She said, think global, but go local, which means we need to start from within us, from the family, our immediate community, from our religious affiliations, from everything before we start looking up to the bigger picture, because it is our individual picture that comes together to become a collected picture. So on that note, I want to thank everyone once again for showing up, for supporting, for staying up to this long. I don't know the right words to use, but I want to thank everyone. And if Dr. Daniel still has something to bring in, he will bring it now, and then we can call it. I think we should just call it a minute, because calling it a day seems too far for me. Because for me, we just call it a minute.
I think we should call it a minute.
No,
I want to thank you, John.
Exactly. When we call it a minute, so
I want to thank you, John Bosco, and wish everybody
a call, and then we'll go take action. Yeah. So, Dr. Daniel, do you have something
John Bosco,
else?
I wanted us to take a picture. John Bosco, I wanted us to take a screen grab of the picture. Let everybody put on their picture, and we'll take a screen grab. So we can use it for to show people that we had this interaction.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, put on your screen.
Yeah, Peter, I really like that.
I was going to hang it, but I ran out of time. I was going to have it hanging over there.
Okay. I have taken the first picture. Though, yeah. Our elder just came in with his picture. Okay, great. I'm taking another one. So,
bye-bye, everyone.
Francis is missing. So, I want to thank everyone once again, and I pray and believe that our efforts will not go in vain. And as we are, making effort to make this global village a better place than it used to be, I believe the youth will learn from us, so that the next generation, my prayer, my hope, my faith, my belief, all I am working for is so that the next generation will be better than us. We have to set the platform We have to make the foundation solid so that this skyscraper we are hoping for, we have a solid base to stand on. And on that note, I want to thank everyone once again and then wish all us well. Those who still have morning, good morning. Those who have afternoon, good afternoon. And the boss here is good night. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Yes, Mail. I'm going to send you 19th century cosmetics.
And I'm happy.
Good night.
Good night.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello? Yeah.
Joseph here. Can I make one just 20-second comment?
Yes, you can. There are some people who are still on.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's in reaction or response to what Gail had said about concentrating on the young people and forgetting about the older heads. I mean, I'm almost 79 years old, and I am one with the youth. The one gentleman spoke earlier, and he said that youth need to sort of arm themselves. But the problem is, within the context of the Bahamas in particular, the youth are to be seen and not heard. That general response. And so the only sort of elevation of the dignity of the young people really is coming from NGOs like Gail's organization, EARTH, Save the Bays, Waterkeepers, and a couple of the other organizations that concentrate on human rights and children's rights. I'm involved with both human rights, children's rights, women's rights, and all the rest. And so I want us to remember that it's not the fault of the young people, because they are shut up very quickly if they have any particular opinion. And so I just want to make sure that that is understood, that we have to work more diligently with them in order to give them the power of the voice to be able to be heard by their individual countries. So I just wanted to add that. So thanks to everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that input. Thank you so much. And I believe we'll carry this message back to our organizations. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jen.
It's bye from
Bye,
here.
Gail. Hey, everyone. Love you all. Stay safe.
Love you too.
Love everyone.
Thank you.